All right. So I was messing around with a few options here in the world. I thought about using like the U.S. map, but it was like a few dollars, and I'm not making any money off this. So, uh, and I don't want to necessarily piss off people if I build the city specifically where they are. Um, and I don't even know if it would be any good. So I've been messing around with the random maps here. Um, just a random generated map, and I tried a few settings. So we're gonna go with realistic mode. So if you are familiar with the series, this is like, so here's hard mode, and then here's realistic mode. So that's what you just saw. You know, I failed at it, and I'm probably gonna fail again, but a little wiser this time. Okay, I want to start with 1960. So you see the progression of get more into the era of the Soviet Republic, and progress forward. So we'll start with that. I was messing around with some of the settings here. I thought a little bit more lake was a little nicer. An extra river was nice. And I went with. I saw some really bad starts when you didn't have enough cities. Like the place you have to start would be even worse than the one that I failed on. So I'm gonna go with. You know what? Let's crank it to the max here. Let's go with max cities. Because it just improves our odds. Like, if I failed once, this is how I'm nerfing it a little bit. It makes it a little easier. Because when you generate the world this way, it's just a higher probability of a region that could be profitable. And one other thing I'm going to do in this series is I want to kind of name cities after American cities. All right, here's our World 1, or World 2, sorry. So a couple of things you'll see on the map here. Do you see the red line there? This red line, and then there's the blue line. So the red line is the Soviet border, and the blue line is the Western nations border. You have two currencies this game. You have rubles and dollars. And you can work your economy both ways. I think you could play this game using US dollars too. Um, I don't think there's much difference. They're just scaled differently. As far as I know, the goods themselves are all relative. Like if something costs $50, it might cost 75 rubles, and if it costs $500, it will cost 750 rubles. So it kind of scales that way. So when we choose our start city, and this is the most important thing in the game, is where you start, because that was a bit of a mistake I made in the last game. If your city's too far away, um, you you're just spending more time, time and effort. You got to build more infrastructure to get there, and then it's just costs you money and time. So starting as close to the border seems to be the better method. So you can see on the map here, we got these little black areas. That's where there's a pre-built city. Let's have a look at this one here. Notice there's something going on here. One of the reasons you kind of want to pick a city as kind of your utopia, your most utopia too, so to speak, is that they come with churches, and churches make people happy. So this is a big church. Like this, I think this is the biggest spawn church you can get. So this is looking to be an interesting location because we're fairly close to the border. You saw in the other game how far the borders were, right? So this one's a little closer. So this isn't bad. We have another city very close too. And it has Russian border here, or a Soviet border, sorry. So this city here looks nice. This one as well. This one has is two borders. It's a little further to get to that custom house. See, another thing with the custom house too is you'll see here there's foreign workers as well. So not only do you get your goods from the border, you get your workers here. And initially, these are your immigrant workers. So I don't know what your take is on real life immigration policy, but in this game you need immigrants. It's your economy suffers without them. Oh, we have two crossings very close here. Like this, I think this could be our city. I think we might have found it right away. I want to peek over here, see what we got. It's another big city. We've got a crossing there. I've not tried. Oh yeah, see this crossing is got to go over a bridge, so that sucks. I think we're not going to get better than that. Like I launched a few random spawns to see how it creates setups, and what I think we got here was above average, though it's an American-focused custom house, but that's good. It's I think it works just the same. I don't think it really matters. You can have communism in any country, right? These middle areas, not worth considering. Another thing too, there are resources in this game, like geological mapping here is required to see like bauxite and oil. So I wish I knew where the resources are. You have to unlock it through technology, and they're very important for your economy. But we won't know. So unfortunately, what can happen in this game is you can build something and discover you have like oil underneath that. This is a good city too, but one of the crossings is just dumb. It's like you can't get to the city. So I think we'll go with this place here. And what should we call it? We should give it an American name. Call this Los Angeles. This will clickbait people into. You gotta use big cities to clickbait people. There's gonna be someone watching this video and they're gonna say, "Oh my God, I thought there was an earthquake in Los Angeles," because there'll be an earthquake in this game, and you'll click it and realize that it's virtual Los Angeles, but it's still Los Angeles, so it's not lying. It's maybe a little misleading, possibly humorous. I find it funny. Maybe other people find it funny. Maybe the person who clicks it finds it funny. Maybe we'll watch the series. Who knows? But okay, so we're getting started here. And another thing I want to do is I want to create a save because I want to share this. I want to share the map. Okay, so the reason this channel is called Dump City on YouTube is because of the dump that we're going to build in the game. It's not to say Los Angeles is a dump. I've been to Los Angeles, very nice city. Parts of it might, questionable, but the idea is, and I do want to do it in this game too. Like you saw in the earlier walkthrough, is build a really sophisticated, garbage network dump, right? So the challenge of this is to build a city that can make money off garbage. Can it be done? We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so now that we've got our start point, let's get started. Okay, so when you play these games, this is interesting. The game I played through before, I started on the Soviet border. This one we're on the Western border, so we're dealing in U.S. dollars. There's some nice vehicles, however, oh yeah, this is a bit of a problem. Some of the good starter vehicles kind come from the Soviet Republic, so we need to ensure we have a line into the Soviet. So this isn't too far either. It's like we got two cities here that could be very good. I think that would be justified here to build a freeway. Maybe this should be San Francisco. We should probably give some names to our border crossings here. We've got to set up Canada and Mexico at some point. I don't know which one could be more socialist. I think right now, it's hard to say. Canada's not very socialist. You got, the healthcare system is, U.S. needs that. I think, that a lot of people are pissed at Trump, but if he nationalizes healthcare, I don't know if anyone who, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I don't think anyone likes the way it works right now. And the Canadian system's not great. It has problems. I wouldn't model anything after the Canadian one. In fact, the way I would do it is it would be performance-based, not money-saving based. Where you may be saving money as an element of it, but it wouldn't be the prime driver of what, if you want to be the top paid doctor, you got to both be cost effective, but also very effective with your results. It's not just about being cost effective. And that's the problem with the Canadian system, that it's about just drawing everything out and being as cheap as possible. And the hospitals take the profit for themselves. So that's not a good model. The hospitals in Canada should instead, that is an aspect of it. Small, maybe you get 10% or 20% of the amount you save. So you're incentivized to save, but you should, like, your life expectancy in your community, service time, have standardized surveys, administered by the government, like not independent. Don't get private equity doing these surveys. As soon as you get private interest in things, people scam it. That's how I would do it. I'd have the Canadian system is still better than the American system. The very fact that you make money to deny claims, and you make money. The even worse thing is the U.S. system is incentivized to make people unhealthy. Right? They make more money the less healthy you are. So there are limits to what free markets can do. Just because things happen in nature doesn't mean they should happen. If we can control it, let's control it. We need an industry here. We got to make money. I think one of the best ways is to go with food, but I don't know how to do crops yet in this game. And I'm a little worried about how good I'd be at that. I know I can just buy crops initially from the border and have them shipped, made into food. That's pretty easy to do. Another thing we have to get is coal, because without coal, when winter comes along, right now we're in February, but by November, if we don't have heat, right now we have 13,597. So this population is going to decline slowly until proper communism's in place. Once proper communism's in place, or whatever the 1960s version of it is, in theory, then population will go up. Or I'll just run this off the cliff again, who knows. What I'm going to generally do here is lay out the buildings where I think they should be, and then I'll sort of explain the process of how they actually get built in the game. But the planning is the big thing. So, if we're going to build a freeway in the future, which look at this. Of course we're going to build a freeway here. Of course. If we can even start drawing it right now. So when you create roads in the game, the dirt paths are free, because they're basically just markers. They don't require any materials. They're just indicators of where things go. I like to be on the grid system. You want to kind of have a general idea of how your networks are built beforehand. It's like, you know, if you're going to plan a high-speed rail, you don't build up everything free market and then plan it later. You do this first because you can't add the freeway afterwards. I like to keep things on the grid. If you can stay aligned with the grid, then when you branch from it, let's go like this. This could be like an interchange or something later. And then this, this. Where's our city? Yeah, we'll go along the lake here. We're not. This is all free. This costs no money. In case you're wondering, this is just a dirt road. Doesn't even have gravel. And it's kind of like a declaration. See, the thing in the game is you can upgrade roads. So you can add a layer of gravel next. It can become a panel road. I've never really done much with panel roads, but I usually go direct asphalt. And then you can make a nice smooth curve. Look at that, we got our first intercity. That might be that way for a long time, but this one will probably upgrade faster. Now we're gonna, so if we're gonna build a freeway, so when you build the freeways in this game, you can't use the road while it's under construction. So just like real freeways, they usually create one lane, and then they create another lane in parallel. So we have to keep that in mind. I don't know if we're gonna, so we already have this lane here, so we should kind of use that up. It could be in parallel, like this could be a huge kind of a domestic road. If you ever watch Not Just Bikes in terms of city planning, I think that's like one of the best sources for like learning about this stuff, about how to make efficient economies. And one of the concepts is you don't, like in North America we have these things called stroads, where it's neither a road nor a street. It's just a busy, wide road, and it doesn't move you fast, and it just doesn't do anything well. It's like a sport. A stroad and a sport are kind of an analogy. So the better way to design a city is to very distinctly qualify them, that there are comfortable, and you'll see this in some U.S. suburbs, Canadian suburbs, or any kind of suburb, where you have sort of these independent, slow speed roads, and then you have high speed connectors in between them, but not both. Okay. So that's sort of the plan here. We want to design our city that way, where people that go onto this highway, they're not going on this highway to stop at every stop along the way. They're going on this highway to go to the next city. That's the intent of it. It's to bypass the city, because this will become a big city at some point, and you need a way out of the city quickly. So this is kind of like an exit path. Given how close these cities are, they're going to eventually run into each other, and we could have a parallel highway, which that run this. Our freeway should go just along the hill here. I'm thinking, maybe just around here. You don't typically want to put a freeway through a city. It's never a good idea, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Just some arbitrary places. I think we're going to have some nice rounded and smooth curves around this hill. Probably makes sense to merge into this. So this would be like a kind of a bypass. Let's go with the bypass. Yeah, let's do that right here. Put a bypass here. Again, these are just, I actually started laying these out in the last game I was playing. But again, I went over the physical cliff and therefore was forced to stop playing. So this one, that, curve, build our little perimeter highway here. There we go. And these will upgrade. Right now they're dirt roads. The vehicles we need to build this to start off come from the Soviet Union. So we need roads to ensure the vehicles get into the city. There's no way to bypass on this side, so we kind of don't have much choice here. Do we? Maybe I'll even put both of them. Reserve both lanes. I've read up on that big dig. That's quite the project. It was like, from what I read, it was like one of the biggest infrastructure projects in U.S. history, like at least for highway infrastructure, for a single interchange or something. This will probably be our primary Soviet. Ooh, it's a nice. See, another thing too is we're going to need a rail connection too. So this has tracks. Not all these custom houses have rails. This one doesn't have rails. We also need a source of electricity. Alright, we've got to build a highway here. We've got to get, I think we're going to do a nice smooth one here. Stay on the grid a little bit. Get back on the grid here, I think. The grid needs to arc into there, right? So we'll go like this. Up here, I think I'm on the grid. It's not too important here because it's eventually going to start swooping. And then we'll do some nice swooping. There may or may not be buildings along this. You want to give a little bit of space here. Make a nice smooth connection. That should be good. This will be the future freeway. Right now it's for tractors and cement trucks. Let's see the fastest stuff that goes on this. All right. I'll make a nice connection here. There we go. Okay, so one of the reasons we had to do this a little early is because in realistic mode, this is what makes it tougher than City Skylines, is the vehicles that you need, like they don't just appear. You have to ship them in. So you need roads to bring the vehicles in to build the city. So let's start with the first project that's going to cost actual money. Okay, so they can use this gravel road here. But the gravel roads themselves probably can go through much of the city, actually. Maybe they don't necessarily need it right away, but it's better to put these roads in now than say, hey, I need a freeway later because the traffic's too heavy on this road, and not have the right of way, because it's this is the economy. This is how you make money. You think. Thinking is the number one way to make money. And we're going to have a rail network at some point too. City Skylines is a better game when it comes to highway planning. At least City Skylines 2, the way things connect, the interchanges. But I believe the rails are a little nicer. They're just in this game. I think they're more realistic, and um, the rails in City Skylines 2 I found a little maddening in the way they work sometimes. In that they seem to you didn't have the switching control needed to really precisely govern how they behave. And I found sometimes in City Skylines that rail systems um, they acted weird too often. So I've never found any problems with the rails in this one. So I'd say this is, if you want a rails game, this is probably a little better. But if you want a freeway building game, go with City Skylines. But again, they could always add upgrades to this. Like I really do think they're saving the freeway editors for, maybe they'll do workers and resources, you know, Chinese socialism or whatever, and they'll let you build some of the crazy interchanges like they have in China. So one of the things people do require is food. They're always going to need food, and that's a very basic industry. You need beer too, or the vodka, one or the other. It's made out of crops either way. Industries typically aren't right in the cities. Like the cities are like your utopias, right? They're that's where all the cool things happen. You don't see how the soup's made, right? Um, the industries are usually just outside the perimeter area here. So it makes sense that the rail's primary function is to move stuff. And one of the things I wanted to try in this game, and I don't know if it works, is to buy garbage. Is to not just generate garbage in the cities and make stuff out of the garbage by recycling it. Is to actually purchase garbage from other countries and make that an industry to see if it's going to be a messy process, like that much I know. That you know what, this might be the area for Dump City. So we can actually create new cities in the game. Waste management is a huge aspect of this game. That's another thing that City Skylines doesn't really do. It doesn't have this concept of I don't think it has waste management. It has like sewer and water, but it doesn't have like garbage pickup. And like in this game, there's 8 types of garbage. So and you can recycle. Plastic waste can become plastic. Metal scraps can be, forged into metal. So this might be a good area. This could be a good tailings pond here. Build the absolute filthiest zone on the map here. Call it Dump City. But that's probably going to be a week or two before we get into that. We got to get a basically functioning city first. They can't produce garbage unless they can consume, right? I think one thing that's cool about this game is it teaches you how real economics work. Very basic. It's trimmed down. You got to make stuff and sell it. Right? People need certain things. One of the things too, you have twice as much rubles, and the cost of things in rubles isn't twice as much. So, in terms of needing to borrow money, you can avoid borrowing sooner if you buy your goods in rubles. A lot of the starting vehicles are going to cost us rubles by the vehicles. One of the things too is you can't build churches in the game, and people have religious sympathy. So this is kind of why you want to build your houses in the cities, because you can't get that happiness factor if you build apartments in the middle of nowhere. Therefore, you can expect this area to be heavily residential. They also don't like being too close to the factories But the pollution level of the food factory, it's not too bad, but it's not nothing. So I think one thing I like about in the game I previously tried this with was the fact that if you get your factories just a certain distance, not it's like a sweet spot where they'll be able to get to work, but also be happy because they got all the other stuff they need. So there'll be some people in these houses, but if they're not in range, we're going to build an apartment building anyways. So, but these people could, in theory, go to work here. Actually, not. Let's put our brewery down first. Let's try that. Walking paths are a big thing in this. I don't think City Skylines has a decent walking system, but this is actually very critical in the game. Building paths, like mud foot paths, cost nothing. They're like a free element. But later we can add asphalt to it, and if you upgrade it, they can walk further. I want to set up a warehouse. So in this game, one warehouse. This is a bit of a tip. I didn't even notice this till I played hundreds of hours. That for some reason, this one warehouse, the specific one I've chosen, is unique in that it has a rail connection. So we can therefore just drop off goods. To be honest, the main reason to build this is where the goods get made and shipped out. Because we're going to take the surplus production and sell it for money, right? So this has to store the output, but can also store the input. So your buildings will ultimately they have like a passive mode where they just kind of automatically, without forklifts, move between buildings, move goods from zone to zone, and there's another mode where you put these little forklifts that move things around for you. But there's rules to it. If you were to put a bunch of grain storages side by side, it would not move between them. They'll just stay put. You need to use forklifts to move it between the storage facilities. But if you put it beside an active building, it will just passively move in. However, this is the part that I couldn't find much information on, or when you have the passive building beside the active building, it doesn't necessarily move the goods automatically. It will take them as needed. So, for example, if I build a grain storage building, and I fill up the grain storage building, and I look at the storage inside the distillery, it will say empty in the distillery. And you'll think it's not working. This is what confused me when I wanted to get some help on it. But it's still working. That's the thing. You'll notice that it has no issues because it's immediately pulling it from it. And you'll notice the storage in the grain facility is emptying. So I'd say this now because when planning this, again, I didn't know this till I played and rebuilt several factories in my first playthrough. I wasted so much money in that game. There's a reason I went off the fiscal cliff. I didn't know this, so the way I laid it out was just very illogical, and it's something you have to know in advance when planning it. So they're going to take crops and produce something. So a warehouse stores all of those things, but the warehouse does not have nearly the capacity of a grain storage facility. That said, it has a good amount of capacity. But this is also a warehouse that, like I say, it's one of the only ones that has a piece of track on it. Snapping the grid's not always the best because some of the elements don't line up nicely. This is just a small operation. I remember this is Dump City. I don't want to build a grain silo that's super big just because I need it for the rail tracks and take up all the space, and then have to worry about forklifts and stuff. This doesn't require forklifts as far as I can tell, as long as the forklift tracks are bidirectional. In this game too, uh, in realistic mode at least, everything starts off in blueprint mode. So you notice here, and this is the only option. Like in realistic mode, you can't buy things and build them. And this means tell the Sims, when I click that, it means tell the Sims to build it. So that will be a reminder that later, initially we're just going to use trucks to do everything, but later when we get some money and we get enough people to fully man these factories, we're going to need trains to move stuff. I think I'm going to put, just lay it out. Again, these are, this won't actually cost anything to build. We have machines in place, so this is just like a reminder that we might be able to terraform and do something, but I just want to reserve the area. Not to say I'm planning well, but at least I'm trying to plan, bring some time into it. I learned from my first playthrough the importance of thinking about what you're going to build next. Okay, so that's that in theory is our industry. Now we'll get back to that bus route. Let's do a regular bus stop here. Connect this road to it. Do we want to gridify here? I think it might make sense to kind of what are these people doing? I almost want to just demolish that. Like it's so bad. Demolishing's not easy in this game though. Like everything is realistic. Like it doesn't just disappear magically either. You have to haul it. That's part of why Dump City is like that's where it's going to get its resources. In fact, you could set up an aggregate dump fairly quickly. This way. And connect that way. So this will go into the downtown Dump City, future Dump City. And we need a dump. That's one of the elements of Dump City. There's all these belts and stuff that connect things that kind of process the garbage fast. This free dump doesn't cost me anything, but it doesn't have any connectors. But later I can just get a truck to very slowly empty it. The reason I want to do this now is because you have to pay to dispose of things. Like when you send the waste to the custom house, like they don't pay you for garbage. You pay them to take your garbage. So this is how the market actually works. There are some free buildings in this game, so that's another tip I would say is always use those. Another thing I didn't understand in my first playthrough was how some of the technologies I thought I needed to research. I had free, like I already had it and it was free and I didn't even know. So, like for example, is the distribution office. So I looked at these and I was like, oh, I can't do any distribution offices. But then if you hover them, you get a free one there. See, look at that, it's free. I didn't know that. I thought I had to research it. So that it was free the whole time. And I wasted a lot of money in research to do that because And that's a very critical part. Okay, so with now we got our dumps. So these are 5 free dumps. And then later, when we build the full dump city, we'll have some starter garbage. Each dump has a type of garbage it can hold. So mixed waste, we got biological waste here, we got fertilizer. Construction waste is good too. Metal scrap is good. Hazardous waste. Yeah, we can use hazardous waste. Should we do plastic? Should we do recycling? Recycle everywhere? Burnable or biological waste, I think, can be burnt. So we have a coal mine. Probably makes sense to build a heating plant fairly close to it. So we don't have the ability to see it on the big map, but when early on you can hover over the land and kind of find it. I just want to see if there's any. No. I think we'll let's do a check for oil. It's just an FYI. I don't want to build too much stuff. Let's actually check near where we just built. We'll actually be right under it. Chart. I should have checked for that sooner. Ooh, there we go. There we go. There's some oil here. This is a good spot, actually. It's kind of out of the way of the city. 81%. That's pretty decent. Pretty decent. See if we got any other spots. What's more here? It's a bit of I'm just gonna slap them down. Okay, so a couple of pump jacks. Lots of oil out of there. So this will make us some. I think we're going to be good for money. That's that was another problem in the last game I played. It didn't have much oil, and we got at least 3 pump jacks worth of oil here. So this is definitely looking more promising. I think we'll just do a single one here. Go with that. No coal, but lots of oil. So let's do one more check for coal. So I guess we're going to have to ship coal in. And coal is required. There's no... The people will die in this game if they don't have coal. It's not an option. Sure, the coal lobby, had their say in some of the rules in this game. Now that we have dumps, I think we can go back to demolishing this. This is just stupid. And I did this in the last game, and I think it kind of makes sense here. Is you kind of want to fix your grid a little bit with these initial cities. I know other people play the game and they don't even touch the city, but what kind of simulation is that, right? How are we going to try real communism unless we actually try it on an existing city? That's nice. Oh yeah. See, there's a bit of a nice grid there. They'll probably connect nicely. Again, we can make these, this might ultimately become like a freeway, and this might be a bypass. There might be a couple of on-ramps, but for now, we'll just, again, it's 1960. We're going to start with gravel roads. This looks like crap, though. Oh, that doesn't. But this one, I don't know what we're going to do with. If we bulldoze a house, is this road even? No, I think I might just leave that. I think because this road connects here. Like you got to think this is a little like City Skylines. in that you got to consider what are your main thoroughfares. If they have to go into the city, make it so that they go through without, going over unneeded distance, in a straight line. So I think, actually not this here. It's not bad. Let's see how that looks. It's not bad. And then we could build maybe a cross-through road here, sort. So this would be another. So the grids are, like, they work good, right? But it has to curve this one because of this silliness. And maybe it curves right away. This goes here. There we go, that's not bad. So this becomes kind of a main road. This becomes a main road. This becomes a main road. This is a main road. So vehicles can go between zones fairly quickly. You don't, like every, it doesn't have to be a perfect grid, just some parts of it have to be a grid at least. If you don't, technically these homes probably have a higher value. I don't know if it makes them happier with less traffic, but I think there is some element to that in this game. And just so you know too, that if people in the houses are too unhappy, they move out. Like, everyone will leave this country if you don't provide them with what they need. We'll set up a free demolition office here. And since they're going to be taking stuff to this area, kind of makes sense that there's various buildings in the game that you automate. Your Sims run the city. You just plan the thing out, but they do everything in it. And one of the things they actively do is demolish things. So probably would have made more sense to do the construction first, but we have these roads we got to get rid of because they're just silly. They're silly. We're going to demolish those roads and put them in the dump. So what you do to do that is you have various sources of things needed to operate your demolition office. This all the buildings sort of work like this. So what I usually do is, you'll see nothing assigned in this building, in this demolition office. I click that, select building, and this is why this is why it was so important to start here, because we have a fairly close custom house. So this custom house basically serves all our needs for this construction office. It's another reason why I didn't want to build the food factory right by it, because we can get all our workers from there. When you do demolition and construction, it can be anywhere. So therefore, it kind of makes sense, since you're out on the highway with trucks anyways, it makes a little bit more sense to use immigrants for it. But since we actually built some of our own dumps here, like for example, you can overload the mixed dump. This one was a mixed dump, right? If you look at it, you chose mixed waste. So this one's a hazardous waste. So we will set our hazardous waste to this one. And you'll notice it doesn't let you set ones that are the wrong type. One of these is a metal scrap one, and one of these is construction waste. Now, how do we get workers here? To do that, you need mechanisms. Like each one of these types of buildings has a certain amount of slots for what its function is. So this is to demolish things. You need workers, explosives. Looks like we can do almost everything. See, we've got to buy explosives from the custom house and get workers from the custom house. The rest we have, places for it. But we need vehicles to do this. So for demolition, which actually has, I think, the fewest types of vehicles that are involved in it. Obviously, if you need workers, you need to buy a vehicle. Right now, there's only a few things you can buy. These U.S. cars and a truck from in dollars. But if we go to the rubles, we have a whole bunch to pick from. One thing I want to do first is, I'm just check here. In the custom houses, you can buy used vehicles. So I don't know if you start with any. Okay, there's none to start with there. I don't think there's any to start with. The used ones are just cheaper. So again, we're trying to be very fiscally conservative here. We're not spending money on things we don't need. So, but we don't have a choice. We're going to have to get some new vehicles. We have buses, and if we hover over them, we can see some stats. Now, the key stats are the maximum speed. So what I like to do is when I buy vehicles, I like to go by speed first. If we're going to go with gravel roads, though, 60 kilometers an hour is kind of the starting speed. But later, these vehicles, their top speed will be preferred. So this is a good one here, but at 80 passengers is a bit much. We don't need that many workers for the projects. One of the things I was testing was this one here. I think this is a pretty good starter bus. It goes fast enough, and that's 60. This one's smaller, but if you look at the price between these two, for a little bit more, you get a slightly bigger bus. And this one, that's a lot of passengers. I think it's just a waste of money. Another factor, if all things are equal, engine power is a big deal too, because it does affect how fast the vehicle gets up to speed. And if the vehicle's operating within the city a lot, the kilowatts might actually trump the top speed. I tried these worker vans initially, but if we're not going to have asphalt roads right away, and you combine the fact that when I was trying these, too many of them was creating these long lineups at the custom house. I think it's better just to grab all your workers and do it in big spurts. Okay, so we purchased the bus and the other vehicle that we kind of need. So yeah, it says missing a garbage truck. Don't worry about that message about workers empty. That will, once we hit play, we'll get to work, right? The bus itself will arrive. Right now, the bus we just bought is at the customs house. So I'll go back to that later and show you what's happening once we launch everything. So we've got to grab ourselves a garbage truck. So not much to pick from. So I guess we got to buy this one, right? You see all the garbage it can contain. We'll get that. And that will, once we start going, demolish our road here. The next thing we need to do to start building things is a construction office. Now these typically need to be closest to the custom house. The demolition, like in theory, most of the stuff you demolish should be in the city, and the garbage you demolish goes to dump city. But when you build things, we don't make anything. Like, we import everything. So our construction office has to haul the goods from here initially. Eventually you can make everything in the game yourself, but it takes a long time. So initially you get some construction offices for free. So I found the best place to put these things is right up close to the border, but I like to put them on the side that is on the right side. You want lineups can form at this custom house too, so we have to be mindful of that. So I'll put a little bit of room for a vehicle or two. This is just a starter construction office too. Actually, I'm going to put it pretty close. This will get replaced later. Like, it's not going to last the whole game. So now, This is what will build our factory. Okay, let's just set that up now. Okay, again, I choose the source right there. So this is where we go shopping. It'll let you know when you don't have a vehicle in a building, but a construction office needs some core vehicles. So we already know what a good bus is, so let's just grab another one of those. Because you need workers. We always need a concrete mixer, and I think we only get one option. You need, well, obviously you need a dumper. Now, this is a very expensive one. I've always thought about buying this one. It can hold so much, and if I was building like on dirt roads in the middle of nowhere, this would be the best vehicle, but it's so expensive. This one's a little more than a third, but you're getting it like this is moving for the cost of the vehicle. This one's moving a little bit more goods per dollar of the vehicle. And another element of the game too is a lot of the stuff you transport isn't going to be like 200 tons. It'll be like 5 tons, 6 tons, sometimes much less. So having dumpers that are too big is kind of silly. This one here, again, it's I've compared these before, and I've always thought the G138 one is kind of the best starter one. This will probably be our go-to dumper. Put a lot of effort into planning your construction fleet in this game. You, depending on the nature of your projects that you build, you're going to need more dumpers, more concrete haulers, or various other machines. But dumpers are like a staple vehicle. I could probably buy 2 of them, but your free construction offices only give you 4 slots. Another essential vehicle is, I think, the open haul. See, one of the things too you have to be careful with, and it's kind of weird how this game works. These open haul trucks can haul other vehicles, but just because it has a higher capacity doesn't mean it can haul bigger vehicles. So you have to be mindful of that. That was and again, it's an unforgiving game. You can't sell these back. I think you can't go wrong with high volume and the price. Yeah, you grab one of those. And we have one more vehicle to get. Covered coals are pretty good too. So they haul, you need electronic components and mechanical components for a lot of construction. So the thing is that typically these aren't, the capacity of these ones isn't, like for construction purposes, it's more to do with the speed of it, because it's usually smaller things. So I'm going to go here for pure value. The game itself, watching what the Sims do, is it's fascinating sometimes. I think I'm going to break this up into the first video and trim it out. So this would be like this is your first intro to workers in Resource Soviet Republic, and we'll get things to the next stage in the next episode. What we'll do is we'll hit play for a second.